The September 11th, 2025 regular meeting of the Versailles-Midway-Woodford County Planning Commission. And also we have a revised agenda. If does everyone have a copy of? They do. Okay. First item on the agenda, we're going to say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Kim, will you take the roll call?
Randall Bohannon.
Here.
Rich Shine.
Here.
Tim Middleton.
Here.
Patty Perry.
Here.
Chad Wells.
Here.
Chris Sharp.
Here.
Whitney Stepp.
Here.
Doug Curl.
Here.
Floyd Green.
Here. Everyone should have had a copy of the minutes from the August 14th meeting in your packet. Has everyone had a chance to review those and have any comments or corrections needed on those minutes? Anyone prepared to take action on those minutes from August 14th, 2025?
I move that we approve the minutes from August 14th, 2025.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion on the table say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Item D on the agenda, we have 5 items. These are the non-public hearing items, starting with a plat that Mr. William Kane has applied for approval of subdivision. I'm going to turn that over to Mrs. O'Reilly.
Kim's going to do the minor plats tonight. I'm going to work the PowerPoint.
Number one is a in-family conveyance from husband to wife. It was for a total of 50.990 acres on Duckers Road and Harmony Lane. They are creating a lot to the north. It's tract 6 for 17.909 acres. And the parent tract will be left with 33.081 acres. It went through TRC and all the deficiencies were addressed.
Any commissioners have any questions of staff with regard to this plat, this item number 1, D1? Anyone prepared to take action on this matter?
Somebody walk us through that, what's up there, where the lot is?
This was the main, from here up to the end and over and down here was the 50 acres. And this is the part they're conveying, 17.9.
In July, we cut 5 lots down on the south part of this property. If you go back and look at the zoning map, if you recall, there's some commercial and single-family zone, and there were 5 lots created on the south side.
And that's the one where we asked for a plat, notice that you could build in
The A1, correct.
And that,
could do the A1, but could do in the B2.
yeah.
Okay.
And then this is the remainder of the farm. They're cutting into 2 parcels. They also have cut off the part of that farm in Franklin County that was done with the prior plat. So technically there were 6 lots created with the prior plat, and this is then creating 2 more, one being an in-family conveyed lot, which is tract 6.
But those weren't in family, they were just within the zoning.
They were allowed to be cut under the zoning thresholds, correct?
And it's got frontage on Harmony Lane, is that what 150 is, or whatever it needs?
The frontage for the tract 6 is on Harmony.
Yeah.
Frontage for tract 7 is Duckers.
Any other commissioners have
Thank you.
questions or concerns? Anyone prepared to take action on this matter?
Is Harmony Lane really a road? Sorry, I know I had more
Yeah.
questions.
It
Yes.
is.
But it's just like a dirt trail, isn't it? Or is there actually a road there?
It's gravel back there, I guess, and it wraps up the railroad tracks.
And it's not just the railroad berm?
No, it's
No,
actually a
it's-
driveway
it's-
beside of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
We all know the hesitation, but this is currently allowed. So in order to move on, I will move William Kane's application for in-family conveyance plot to his wife be approved relating to the property located at 38 Duckers Road, Versailles, Kentucky.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and we have a
Fire sale.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I said it's a fire
Okay.
sale.
We have a motion and we have a second. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion to approve this subdivision, say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carries. The next item, William McLean has applied for approval of subdivision and family conveyance plat on tract of land containing 39.894 acres at 3870 Troy Pike, Versailles. This property is zoned A1. I'll turn it over to Kim.
Again, this is a in-family conveyance from husband to wife, creating a 10.5 acre tract with access easement to the parent tract. And it went through TRC and all the deficiencies were met. They're not creating a new entrance off of Troy Pike.
In 33.
That's all right? That's okay?
Yes,
Is the parent tract 2A?
it is, yes.
It's not 30 acres.
It doesn't have to be 30 right
Under
now.
our current ordinance.
Yeah, the current.
Yeah,
Between ordinances.
Yes.
Yeah.
in-family conveyances can start at 15 acres and go up. So in theory, you can have parent tracts end up being non-conforming tracts as they get smaller.
So is that the access road on the parent tract that we're looking at going back to? Is that the access road? Does it show on there?
It does, it's up here. Access is right here.
Okay, all right. So that's where the original access was? for the
Yes.
entire piece of property?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, there,
South edge.
there's the aerial
Oh.
right there,
Oh,
you guys.
okay.
Okay.
I know where it's at.
It's right across from Cabin Lane, right there.
Yeah.
Any further discussion or question from staff with regard to this application? Anyone prepared to take action on this matter?
No other questions or comments? I'll make a motion that we accept William McLean's approval of subdivision on a tract of land containing 39.894 acres located at 3870 Troy Pike, Versailles, Kentucky.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? All in favor of this motion to approve this application, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. The next item is an application from Sea Island Soil Company LLC for approval of the subdivision consolidation plat on 9.3 acres located at 197 and 301 Browns Mill Road. This property is A1 and Conservation CO1. Kim, I'll turn it over to you.
This property, you all saw this back in June as a zone change, and it is currently 2 lots, and they're wanting to consolidate it to make one tract of 9.3 acres. It went through TRC, and there were really no deficiencies, but some minor changes, and everything's been corrected.
Curious, why do they want to do that?
So the zone change, if you recall, there's a zoning map was zoned R1B, which was not eligible for a short-term rental. The zoning map's not been corrected at this point. So the zone change was to go back to ag with the CUP so they could do a short-term rental. And the consolidation of the plat together was to push it all back to ag to have one piece of property, and that was a condition of the zone change.
Got it. Thank you.
And it assured the planning commission that, if you remember at that time, that there would not be another residential dwelling on this property, because now it's one lot. Or if you all consolidate it, it'd be one lot.
Yeah. Fine.
Any further questions or?
No other discussion. I'll move that the application filed by Sea Island Soil Company LLC be approved as it relates to the property located at 197 and 301 Browns Mill Road, Versailles, Kentucky.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? All in favor of this motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. The next item is D4, Legends Development Company LLC has applied for approval of a subdivision minor plat on tracts containing .86 acres located at 726, 730, 734, and 736 Azalea Lane. The Versailles, this is zoned RB1. Steve?
Yeah, that's a typo on the agenda. The last number should be 738. So you see up there on the screen, 726, 730, 734, and 738. Those are 4 lots in the Legends zoned R1B. The plat just established drainage and storm easement across the back of these 4 lots. It's a minor plat, and it's just basically a notation going on those 4 lots. The lots aren't changing in size. They're existing lots. There's construction already occurring, I believe, on all the lots. This just established an easement to the southern part of what you see up there on the screen. The plat went to TRC and is ready for Planning Commission approval if you all see fit. I'll be glad to answer any questions, and I believe the surveyor engineering firm rep is here.
Any questions with regard to this application? Anyone prepared to take action on this matter?
If no other discussion, I'll make a motion that we approve Legends Development minor plat for lots containing .860 acres located 726, 730, 734, 738 Azalea Lane.
We have a second?
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? All in favor of this motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. This takes us to D5. 2911 Versailles LLC and Edgewood Farm LLC have applied for approval of a site development plan on land of 45.144 acres located at 1218 Lexington Road. This property is B4. Steve?
Yes, sir. This is a site development plan, as you heard, on 47.63 acres. It's a tract that I think most folks in the community refer to as the Edgewood or Edgewood Farm. This property was zoned before several years ago. I'm not exactly sure of the date, but I believe it was 2016 or 15. I think it was 16 is when it was zoned. Here's the zoning map for the property that you see on the map. You see Lexington Road there to the south. You see a parcel there in the middle where I think everyone knows the city's building a new street connection to serve property to the north, as well as serve this Edgewood Farm property to the east. And then the property we're looking at tonight that is part of the site development approval is this 1218 that you see, kind of this big tract that's zone B4. There's a lot of moving parts here, so I'm going to take some time and walk you all through a few things. The applicant's here. We've been working with the applicant for several months on this proposal. There's fairly a lot of things going on here, so I'm going to show you a couple things, even a preliminary plat that you're going to see next month. We're going to walk you through several sheets here. Basically, the applicant's proposing 2 anchor retail tenants that are labeled on your exhibits as a grocery store and a home improvement store. Again, this is a zoning map that should be in your, I guess not in your package, up on the screen. I want to point out one thing before we get started. The zoning ordinance in section 410.4 and 410.5 outline how we review a site development plan. 410.4 is the trigger point on what is required to do a site development plan. Pretty straightforward here. All commercial developments over 4,000 square foot. Clearly this project and the buildings are over 4,000 square foot. That's the threshold for a site development plan. Then the elements of a site development plan that the staff reviews as part of a submittal like this are items A through S that you see here up on the screen in the zoning ordinance on page 418, 419. Again, that's section 410.5. They're pretty basic. We made an amendment to the site development plan last year, basically just renamed what used to be called preliminary or final development plan to site development plan. And a general development plan, as you know, is what comes in with the zone change. When we develop an individual site, we're looking at the site development plan. The items A through S are identical that was in the prior zoning ordinance when we called them preliminary and final development plans. I just wanted to point that out. That's what we reviewed this under when it came to the Planning Commission. And then page 20 is how we amend development plans, whether it be general site or do in-house amendments now that are authorized. So with that, what the applicant turned in was interesting. Traditionally, you all see a site development plan. It might be 1 page. Sometimes it's 2 pages. This is a pretty big project on 45 acres. And what the applicant actually turned in were 24 pages of more detailed construction plans. And what the staff asked was to modify a few of those pages, and we weeded them down to approximately 8 pages that are the relevant items that the Planning Commission would be reviewing at this point in time, or the staff would review as a site development plan, and that's section 410.5. So they turned in several sheets here, and it's good for us because we need to take a look at several different things. There's a cover sheet that starts with, and the signature lines are on that cover page, and you can see up there on the screen there's a little shot of the 2 anchor tenants in the 45 acres. The 1 anchor tenant is approximately 55,000. The other is 107,000 square foot. And as I move through the document, you should have all these in your packet as we walk through. So then this sheet C3-0 is really kind of the zoomed out shot of the site plan. And it's important to note because it shows the drainage. Some of the drainage will be to the rear of this property, but some of the drainage and the water feature will be along US 60. There are water features planned, decorative kind of other elements tied in with this. Some of those will be off-site. So this sheet does 2 things that I think are very interesting. Number one, it shows you to the left the street network that the city is currently constructing right now. So it shows the street, the roundabout, and the access to the north to serve the industrial property, as well as the way the street will connect to the east that will create a frontage road that this developer will build, and access to the parcels to the rear once this thing's kind of all split up with a future plat. So it was interesting to get this shot so we could understand how the access will work down the road. Today it's one lot that fronts US 60 with different access opportunities, but what we're going to have is a plat next month and then breaks this into pieces. Tonight, the applicant's desire was to get the site development plan in front of the Planning Commission, show you the main components, and solicit your approval on these anchor tenants, and then bring a plat later to parcel it, show you the road, get construction plans, and start construction of the road network. This is a zoomed-in shot that should be in your packet of the grocer. And again, it's interesting, I'll just say, for several months there's been speculation around town what these are. I can tell you the word grocer's been used. Home improvement was the first time we heard that term, was at TRC. These, for various reasons and serious reasons, there can't be kind of names released, and a lot of these things are work kind of in play as we're going forward. The applicant did say, I can say with confidence, this won't be a Piggly Wiggly, I think, or maybe y'all didn't say I can say that. But I can tell you with 100% confidence that this will not be a Piggly Wiggly. But I don't really know what it's going to be because no names have been released at this point. The word grocery store is on it, and the size is on there for y'all to see. The travel ways are on there, the parking's on there, that shows the landscape, and we have detailed landscape sheets. The parking spaces, the zoning requirement's 294, it shows about 313, just slightly over our requirement. Shows landscape islands, some walkable parking islands there. It's also interesting to know kind of how the access points, but tonight you all are approving the 45 acres if you see fit, and these two boxes on the 45 acres and associated parking, landscape, travel ways, etc. Once the plat comes in, then these lots will get slightly smaller, and these access points will all be developed when the construction starts. So that's the project to the left. That's a grocer. This is a project to the right, which says home improvement store on it. Again, showing the parking, the building, the setbacks, travel ways, etc. on that site. It also then shows you that there's an outlot that's going to be created south of that, but driveway, travel ways that'll come through around that outlot. So that's why we need the shot of the whole property and some of the, what we'll call future plat conceptual looks, because we wanted to understand how the access would actually work through the property. And this gets right to the next slide, where the applicant has showed you there will be a frontage road that'll go to the east. There'll be a new road that is created on US 60. There'll be a right in, right out. There'll be a water feature up there along the frontage road, as well as outlots that'll be further divided into the future. And again, this is a zoomed out shot that shows you the drainage. There's a drainage pond to the rear. There's a water feature to the south. And at the time of TRC, there were several drainage sheets. I think as many as 7 or 8 sheets related to drainage. We just wanted to show you conceptually what the drainage concept is. It's going to be off-site from these developments. There'll be piping and other kind of storm sewers created. And so we're going to have some conditions of approval when we get done and after the applicant presents to you all, because the drainage at this time is really preliminary drainage. Final drainage design will be done at the construction plan level of the subdivision plat and prior to the issuance of a building permit. We'll get all that to be ironed out. But I wanted to make sure you all understood conceptually how the drainage is going to work, north to south, east to west, etc. This is the landscape sheet that was a detailed landscape sheet for the two properties together, so you can get a look at landscaping collectively for both anchor tenants on the 45 acres. And then this is a zoomed in landscape sheet for the shops. They're calling the shops at Woodford Farm, and this is the grocer store. And again, you can kind of see the city's road network, where there'll be a frontage road created off one leg of the roundabout, and then the other city street dead ends into the travel way that'll go across the front of the retail boxes. The landscape plan meets our requirement, if not exceeds it. It's interesting to note the zoning ordinance actually requires a landscape plan to be submitted with the site development plan. It requires quantities. It also requires plant species to be on the landscape plan. However, during tech review, one of the city reviewers requested the landscape names be taken off the plan. So we had an earlier version with all the botanical names on here, but they took them off. And so that will be another condition we're going to go forward with, is the landscape plan at this point. It's a preliminary landscape plan, quantities and general placement. The actual species will be submitted with a final landscape plan prior to the issuance of a building permit. But we did have other species on there. They did meet our requirements, but a city staff member had a concern about a particular species or two, so they asked that they be taken off. So this could be worked out maybe in more detailed later. But as far as the number of plantings, the location of the plantings of the travelways, that meets our requirement. It's interesting to note, this is also the next box over to the right. There is not an actual landscape requirement for perimeter landscaping when you're commercial, adjacent to commercial. So those are the parts of the landscape plan that exceed our standard. There's actually not a requirement that, for example, landscape that northern property line. There's only a landscape requirement for the interior vehicle use areas and those entrances. But the applicant clearly, when the plat comes in here, I'm going to show you in a second, that's going to be a different development lot to the rear. It's approximately 12 acres. And they obviously are going to landscape between those different tenants they intend to use on this property. So again, that's where the landscape exceeds our standards, because they did perimeter landscaping when it was not required. This is the elevation that we just got. I do not think that was in your packet, I don't believe. That was sent in to us kind of late. We requested an elevation. So this is the grocer, and you can kind of see the box. You can see the shops. The grocer is kind of from your left to the right. I'd say about 60% of that building linear foot is the grocer. And then you can see some outlots, or not outlots, but some tenant suites that are in line with that grocer that are shown here. Also interesting to note, the developer met with the city, including the mayor and some staff, and I participated in that, asked for higher quality development if possible, other materials, maybe not a cookie cutter look from other communities, for example. And what the developer did here is put forth a rendering that is a higher quality than the typical what this grocer would develop. And then you have the materials across the bottom, which include brick veneer, 2 kinds of ephes, standing seam metal, accents across the building, windows, as well as stacked stone. It's kind of hard to see here, but all those columns are stacked stone as they transition to the brick veneer. So those material lists are across the bottom, and then the elevations there for you all to see. We don't really require the elevations. They're helpful, and I know you all like to see elevations, but those aren't technically, we're not in the architectural design business, as you all know. But the city did ask for the developer to bring forward something that they could see, with the hope that as a gateway project into the community, it'd be something of an elevated look here for the community. This is the plat that we just got that you all are going to see next month. This is a major plat that'll lay out the street network. And again, it's really busy, but I think what's important here is now you can kind of see the way the lots will evolve next month if the site development plan's approved. And then this plat still has to go to TRC, but if this major plat gets to you all timely next month, you can kind of now see exactly how the lots will evolve for the 2 different retail tenants. It's going to show outlots that'll be further divided as leases are signed and tenants come forward. It shows the lot there that'll be the water feature lot, and it shows where the road will go all the way to the east. Actually, the road's going to go all the way further to the east and connect with Paddock Drive that's currently at the light. So if you think about Paddocks there, it stubs to a traffic light. This frontage road will tie in with the city street and then come all the way across this property and then bend into the Paddock Road traffic light. And this developer will be building this road all the way to the intersection. The city contractually has to build the road from US 60 up to their frontage road. And the city has a contract to build their road to serve, again, the property to the north as well as these properties to the east. And that's under construction if you went out there and saw the roundabout and the road construction that's occurring right now. That's all I have. I know the applicants here. They've come in from, I believe, well, different places, I think. Tampa, I believe. And they're here and want to answer any questions you might have. I think the best slide to put up here, just for general discussion until they get up here, if you ask any questions, is this one. And I'll be glad to answer any questions the Planning Commission might have. Again, we reviewed this document under 410.5. The document does meet the zoning ordinance requirements at this time. It did go through technical review. There was a lot of discussion there, and the applicant had to make some changes based on some requests at the technical review committee. All those changes are in front of you. They got those to us the very next day. And again, I know it's different, but this development plan consists of all these pages. Collectively with one signature page on the front. So if you all get to the point to making a motion, we'd be approving all of these sheets. And after the applicant presents, I would like to, in detail, walk through the conditions of approval that the staff would recommend. We have 3 conditions of approval that we'd like worded into the minutes here if you guys get to a point to make a motion. With that, I'll stop and be glad to answer any questions. And I know the developers here would like to speak to the commission about their project and maybe overall vision.
So any questions to Steve before we hear from the applicant at this point? I think we're ready to hear from the applicant. Thank you.
I'll turn that mic on.
My voice carries that. Can everybody hear me?
We're live streaming now. No, you got to turn it on. You had it on. There you go.
Okay. Well, good evening. I'm Theo Stone here on behalf of the development. I think Steve's done a wonderful job of presenting our proposed project that we'd like to bring to the community for sales, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have that we were able to share at this time.
Who is it?
That's one of the things we can't share at this time.
A lot of murmuring out in the community, as
We've heard.
okay, fair enough. Anyone have questions of the applicant?
So I'm always curious because I don't like asphalt, and we have tree specifications, and you've gone through some of them,
Sure.
and it sounds like you're actually going over more than is required on there. Is that something that's standard with your projects? What's behind that?
We try to bring the best opportunity and product that we can to the communities that we go into. It starts with adherence to the ordinance. The tenant partners that we typically operate with have high standards as well, and we try to assure that they're pleased with the final deliverable.
Again, there were 14 different tree species that's on their plan. Again, they took the names off, but there's 14 different kind of trees that were in this plan, and several kinds of shrubs and other components here. If it's okay, I'd like to state those conditions of approval and really hopefully the applicant would agree with those too. I'll just tell you what the staff would recommend here if you all make a motion. And I wrote those in real good detail here, and had to make a note that I wrote one on the back too, so hopefully I don't miss those. The recommended conditions of approval would be that the drainage in storm is preliminary at this time, and that the final drainage design and stormwater design be worked out by the applicant with the city with the final plat, and hopefully would tie in with the construction plans of the road, that we would have those final drainage plans ironed out with the road construction, and no building permits would be issued until we could get those drainage plans finalized through the city. The second one deals with the landscape plan. Again, the landscape plan I'd call preliminary at this time until we get the species and plant names put back onto the plan like originally that they were, and that we could get a look at those and make sure those comply with our master plant list that's an addendum to the zoning ordinance. And they did when we gave them a first look, but they might tweak some plants between now and then. We'd like to look at that prior to the issuance of any building permits. And the last one deals with signage. We didn't talk about signage. It's really complicated at this point when we can't talk about tenants, but we do want to look at the sign package. The applicant has indicated us there will be a uniform sign package that's attractive and for the whole development, including the outlots. And what we would like is the signage will be submitted on specific per parcel, and we want to make sure that we get a look at the sign package prior to the issuance of any CO for any particular building. So they'll come in and do sign permits separate parcel by parcel, but we would like to maybe see the overall concept at some point when you guys get there.
Sure, Stephen, to add to that, if you want to go back to the overall site plan,
Which one works best for
the
you?
3.0, the overall view. We will have a uniform sign package. On the plan and on the screen, we have identified 2 locations for what we call master shopping center signs that will identify the 2 major tenants and anyone willing to pay the freight to be on the sign. One is in the lower left corner of the screen adjacent to the new extension road that's under construction.
It's out there, right there.
Yes, that's one. And then the second one is just right of the proposed right in, right out. Those will be the larger 25, 28-foot overall signs. And then as the tracts identified in the plat that'll be subdivided to outlots, we'll have smaller monument signs for the specific tenants that go on there. But they'll all of the signs will be consistent in terms of look, feel, and material.
They also indicated to us there will be a water feature, there's going to be fencing, decorative fencing, stacked stone component to maybe into that fencing look too, with maybe some plank fencing. They also indicated us how their company maintains these amenities long-term into the future, how they're maintained, how in a sense the lease with the tenants work out, and who maintains these other kind of common features, signage, fencing, water feature, and whatnot. Pretty impressive kind of ideas that they kind of showed us how this will evolve 20 years into the future, for example. So we don't end up with a look like we have on some of our shopping center signs when the fences get deteriorated or the landscaping dies or whatnot. But there's a kind of a whole overall concept that we really can't show you now till these outlots come to fruition. But the signage is something we'd like to see and make sure it's what you guys promised.
It's not a problem, as
said
we've discussed.
early on, yeah. So those are the staff suggested conditions of approval. That we look at drainage, we look at landscape, and we look at signage before any kind of buildings get rolling here.
So I hesitate to ask this question because it'll expose my own ignorance, but I'm going to do it anyway. So when we get, and nothing on this developer, I know nothing about this, but when we get, at what stage do we basically have, of the development plan, do we have the promise that these plantings will happen? Beyond being a conceptual, this is what would look good, but then we run into some
Yeah, so
problems
this is the
down road.
landscape plan as far as location.
So they're held, this is one
This
that
is
they're
the
held
site
to.
development plan, correct.
Okay.
And then when the species come in and we get that more
I'm
detailed,
not, species I'm worried about, I'm just,
Yeah.
I mean, that's good.
we're gonna tie those into the,
Trees.
we're gonna tie those into the building permit.
Okay.
This is their commitment on the landscape plan, it meets our requirement, and if you all approve all 8 of these sheets, this is their commitment.
Okay.
And it's a good question, because if they, any of these items that you're seeing now, you have to come back and do an amendment, but we have now a 5% rule. So if they came back and, for example, moved a building or changed the travel or parking, there's an in-house amendment, but the bigger amendments are coming back to you all. So this is the site development plan.
And for reference, I've just been watching some changes coming out of Lexington's preliminary plans that are not doing that, and I'm just wondering what's happening, so, thank you.
Yeah. But it is an interesting note that some of those other components we wouldn't see on any of these shots, but I guess if we get those outlots, then that's when we may see some fencing, or maybe they'll be part of the construction plans of the road or the line.
That's something we'll have to hammer out. It will occur. We've got to discuss everything as part of process and economics as well, whether or not we do it up front or as the individual smaller parcels come online. That's something that's assigned to them by contract with us.
And you guys will be seeing site several. I mean, these are proposed outlots, but they're going to be split further. So there's going to be a plat coming your way next month, and then there'll be more plats as these tenants come forward and need, for example, half of those outlots. And then you'll see other site development plans on every single lot going forward. So that's how you assure that the uniformity will be there. You might see a 1 acre site development plan 2 years from now or a year from now, and you'll be able to see the concepts there that they match the overall original that you're seeing with these 2 anchor tenant proposals. Excuse me.
I don't know if this is a question for the developer, but are there concerns about the viability of 2 grocery stores so close to each other?
No, not from our standpoint.
Yeah, I know not from your standpoint.
I mean, if you,
I'd like to avoid having another Kroger, another old Kroger just sitting empty
Exactly.
for
Right.
several years. I mean,
Comp-
your all's goal would
competition breeds
obviously be to put
competition.
it out of business, yeah.
Phil, maybe you want to speak to where that Kroger is in its chain
nationwide.
Sure. For those in the room, if you're not familiar, the marketplace store that exists today, based on our research, it's either number 30 or 31 under the branded Kroger brand out of approximately 1,200 Kroger branded stores. They own other grocery chains under different brands in the Southwest and Far West, but the Kroger brand itself, that store does really well. So
It's been the only grocery store. The new owners say a lot, yeah.
That there's room.
so there's room for more grocery shopping in Versailles.
You're gonna love it.
Only if it's
They'll
Publix.
win Dixie.
If it's Winn Dixie, I'm not gonna love it.
There's Teeter.
IGA.
Well, that's all I have.
That's
Commissioners, any further questions for the applicant? Nope. Anyone prepared to take action on this item?
I was already in the Herald Leader today, so I'm just gonna.
Is this called the Woodford Farm? Is what's on top of the site plan?
Yes, sir. That's the proposed name of the development.
Okay. I make a move that we accept the site plan for the shops at Woodford Farms at 1218 Luxton Road, Versailles, Kentucky.
Randall, does your motion,
Oh, I'm sorry.
does it also contain the three conditions that Mr.
Oh.
Hunter laid out with regard? One was drainage is preliminary, and that's to be worked out and probably
Yes.
tie into the road. The other-
With,
landscape.
with the three conditions and drainage, signage, and
Landscape, final landscape.
Okay.
So your motion's amended
To amend it, yes, those three conditions too.
we have a motion on the table. Is there a second?
Second.
I'll second.
We have a motion and second. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion to approve the site development plan, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. The next several items on the agenda will require a public hearing. The first item, Joe Carroll Carter has filed an application to rezone land, 12.004 acres at 10351 Clifton Road. This requested zone change is from A1 to small community A4. I will go ahead and open the public hearing, and first we'll hear from Mr. Hunter on this.
Yep, and you got staff report in your packet, and the zoning map slide is not on the screen. I just realized it was, but we added so many other slides with the development plan, I think it got nixed here. So, but all the maps are in your packet, and I'll just walk you all through it. So, that application filed on August 14th, 2025. You heard the address 10,351 Clifton Road. It's currently zoned A1. It's a 12-acre parcel, and the applicant's proposing to go from A1 to small community to create 2 lots. It's in the small community district in your comprehensive plan. Page 2 of your staff report gets into the comprehensive plan as far as the goals and objectives generally that we look at for zone changes of this nature. The aerial that's on the top of page 2 shows you the parcel there. Again, it's a fairly flat, not very wooded, 12-acre tract. That's Watts Ferry Road. You see several residences there that sort of run along Watts Ferry Road. This property sits right behind them, and it's actually part of the reason the applicant is requesting the zone change. The plan is to split this into 2 6-acre tracts. The one on Clifton Road would be a building site. The other to the rear is planned to be added to an adjacent property on Watts Ferry Road, potentially. That's not 100% been worked out, and we'll talk about how the development plan approaches that if that turns out to not be added to an adjacent piece. But you can kind of see the Watts Ferry properties, and you can see this property that kind of sits behind them. Page 3 of your staff report, 4 of your staff report, again, going to comprehensive plan goals and objectives. We get into the area-wide policies in chapter 5 on page 4 and 5 of your staff report. And we get to page 6, we're into our comprehensive plan verbiage about the small community. I think we all know this area, talk about it several times. You see the red circles on the general comprehensive plan map that we call the county side map for where the small communities are. There's 3 of those here in the county. And in those areas, the A4 zoning is an appropriate zoning that can be as small as 1-acre lots. On page 7 of your staff report, you see a zoomed-in shot of that small community area, and you see the blue dot that references about where this property is in relationship to that small community radius. You also see several A4 designations in this general area. There's been property zoned to A4 over the years. It's interesting to note as you kind of go east into this small community area, you see a lot of different zones, R1C, R2, B1, industrial. Some of those are more historic zoning in nature. But as you know, the small community, if the applicant proves the test of the comprehensive plan, the zoning that's the appropriate zone in small community is the A4 zoning, which is a residential zone that can be as small as 1 acre. Page 7 and 8, again, deal with the small community general policies as well as the infrastructure policies. You get to page 9, you get a shot of the zoning map, and you can see this property is right in between 2 other properties that have been previously zoned A4. And this property is still currently zoned A1. There's A1 across the street. There's definitely A1 or agricultural in this general vicinity, but as many A1 tracts as you see several references to the A4 zonings that have occurred over the years. Page 9 of the staff report at the bottom, we get into our development plan review, what we call our general development plan that's required with the zone change submittal. That's outlined in Article 4, Section 409.3 is the application requirements. You turn the page to page 10, and 410.2 is where we get into our general development plan. General requirement and the contents of that are outlined in 410.3 at the bottom of page 10. Page 11 is their general development plan. It's fairly generic because there's not a lot happening here. It basically just shows it as track 1 and track 2 that are being proposed that are both about 6 acres. And at the bottom of those notes there, it basically says that one of these parcels is intended to be added to the neighboring piece. If it's not added to the neighboring property, then it would have to comply with all the zoning ordinance requirements, including frontage. So right now, again, the plan is to create a 6-acre tract for a future home build there on Clifton and add this property to a neighbor. But if that neighbor did not buy it, obviously we can't have tract 2 stand there by itself. It would have to have frontage on Clifton Road. There would have to be a strip created to have both tracts have legal frontage if it's not added to one of the other properties.
And how would that come? How would that come into practice? Would it be the building phase?
A plat would have to come back to you all at either way. This is not a plat. This is just a general development plan.
Yes.
So this is conceptually how the lots would be split, and the commitment is to show you there will never be more than 2 lots on this 12 acres. You would have to see a plat if this is approved. Then you would see a plat very similar to that Browns lot on Browns Mill you saw earlier today. They would bring a plat back, and then you would see exactly how the 2 lots are going to be created, and if one gets added to the neighbor, or if track 1 stays like that and track 2 ends up having to strip out to Clifton Road. But what this commits to is no more than 2 lots and they have to be 6 acres in size.
So what do you mean has a strip out to Clifton Road?
Well, if the neighbor didn't buy the land,
I thought it had, what's the frontage minimum requirement?
150, so it'd be a 150 wide strip.
So you have to strip it, okay, not a driveway, but an actual.
Yeah, it'd be a
That
piece
makes
of,
sense. Yeah, okay.
so they
That
would,
was
if
my
the neighbor
question.
doesn't buy it, then track 2 will have to have frontage on Clifton Road. And to meet frontage, it'd have to be a 150-foot wide strip that would get out there. So they would have to do a swap, a little bit of tracks 1 and 2.
So do we know which lot it's meant to be appended to on Wattsville Road? There are 3 different owners there.
Yeah, I'm not sure which lot it is.
And if it is appended to one of those 3 lots,
Yeah, I forget what neighbor's lot it was gonna go to, the Browns. Can you guys see the names there?
and so if that happens, what can the Browns do with that tract?
They'll have a bigger
Run
A4
horses?
lot,
Run horses?
it's A4.
Have a barn?
If their goal is to build
Those
a
are good
house,
things.
if their goal is to build a house on it, they're gonna figure out how to get frontage for that
They're gonna have to
lot.
find 150
I was
feet
gonna say,
somewhere, what they've
yeah.
got already.
If they're just buying it to add it to their lot to get bigger,
Okay.
you just add it to their lot. So this is more a
But the
conceptual
original owner
layout.
could sell another 150 feet.
It could come off that way, exactly, yeah. Could possibly come off the other road.
But track 2 can be divided and left like it is, I mean, as long as there's no building on it.
I think what the applicant's promising you, there's gonna be no more than 2 tracks created on this 12 acres. They're gonna be 6 acres in size, and 1 potentially will be added to a neighbor. There's potentially could be 2 building lots maximum, if they can figure out their frontage for track 2.
What's the road frontage on track 1? Just for.
Oh, I don't know the exact frontage across there off the top of my head. You could zoom in and probably see it.
3.
It's not a ton. It should be a number on there if you guys. can zoom in.
395 feet,
395,
28 inches.
395.
I think.
So two
I think so.
lots maximum. Two lots maximum, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So again, that's their general development plan. There's not a lot to show you on a division like this, so.
0.28, but whatever.
Again, the development plan's fine as far as what we need to understand what the applicant's doing. Get to page 12, we're into the zoning ordinance reference for the A4 zone. Page 12 just deals with some general preamble stuff and general dimensions of the small community districts. Page 13 at the top basically tells you what the principal uses are for this zone, which are basically single-family dwellings and horticultural buildings and non-commercial uses. So you can do some different kind of short CUPs in this zone, as you all know. They're listed there, but again, the applicants intended these are supposed to be 1, if possibly 2 building lots. The zoning ordinance requirements for review and finding of the Planning Commission, when you guys look at the zone change, are outlined on page 14 and 15. And KRS 100 findings, which mirrors some of our findings, are outlined on the bottom of page 15 for a zone change request of this nature. We have our typical cookie cutter motions up or down on page 16. If you guys get to point of a motion, our legal counsel, Mr. Henry Smith up there, will help us wordsmith any motions or conditions or additional conditions that you all might want to add to the zone change request. I'll be glad to answer any questions. I know the applicant's back here in the back. And I think this is his first shot at the zone change, maybe. First time he's done this, so it was a little daunting for him. But we hopefully made him understand kind of why we have to go through some of these processes, why we had to make some tweaks on that development plan and cause surveyor a couple times. But at this point, I appreciate what you did to get those corrections to us timely for the packets, so thank you. But again, I'll be glad to answer any questions if you all have any.
If there, we'll give everybody a chance to ask Mr. Hunter any questions. We'd like to hear from, anybody want to hear from the applicant at this time? Anything
you want to add?
Anything you want to add anything that Mr. Hunter said?
Push the button.
I guess just kind of give you a quick outlay of it.
Here, hit that button right there. Yeah, there you go, thank you. There you go.
That's our family's farm, that whole process was, and we're the last ones. Where I live at now, I have to deal with like 35 semi trucks in front of my house today, high traffic area. I want to get out in the country. So, and the game plan is Mr. Brown, something happens, does not purchase that land, then I'm going to buy it out from my sister. She doesn't want it. I'm going to move my house a little further back on the hill, But that's the thing, it's not gonna be subdivided. It's just where I wanna put a place where I can live in peace and quiet.
Anybody have any questions of the applicant before we see if there's any public comments? Or comments from the public? Thank you. We did not have a sign-in sheet tonight, did we have?
No.
Okay. Anybody here want to speak?
They're all waiting out in the hall.
Outside.
A little PTSD there. Anybody here tonight want to speak on this application for this zone change? Okay, with that being the case, I'll close the public hearing on this particular item. With regard to any public comments,
Yeah, that was good, though. PTSD, too.
any discussion on this issue, on this item?
I mean, I always feel obligated to say how much I hate the 1.5 mile radius. I think it's ridiculous for me to get rid of it. It makes no sense. But of the ones we've ever seen in here, this is the one that makes the most sense of all.
Mr. Chair, if other commissioners agree with Commissioner Shine, I think this application is supported by residential objective number 2 about residential growth in small communities, general land development objective number 1 about encouraging future land development, centralized, and neighborhood and subdivision development objective number 1 about supporting strong, functional, small communities. And those are all listed in your staff report. Those would make good justifications for any motion to approve.
Having heard from our council, anyone prepared to take action on this item?
I'll move we approve the application filed by Joe Carroll Carter to rezone property on a tract of land located at 10351 Clifton Road.
We have a second?
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Discussion. Sorry.
Do you incorporate those objectives?
I incorporate I incorporate the objectives that council read on the record.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion?
Who was the second? Doug?
Doug. Any discussion? All in favor of this requested zone change from A1 to small community at 10351 Clifton Road, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
And just real quick, for the applicant's sake, I know you're new to this, so this is a recommendation then to the fiscal court. And then when we get the record prepared, it'll take us a day or week, I don't know how long it'll take us. But Kim then will forward the record to the fiscal court clerk. The judge then will put that on the fiscal court agenda at some point in the future. It takes fiscal court action to ratify a zone change. So we're just sending a recommendation. They still have an option to vote up or down on that, but we have to send a record to them. So you just have to sort of watch for some future fiscal court agendas to know when the item's on the agenda. Under the state law, they have 90 days to take action, but typically it goes faster than that. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no problem.
The next item is E2. This is another public hearing item. The Planning Commission has filed an application to amend Article 6 of the Woodford County Subdivision Regulations. This is a public hearing item. I will open the public hearing and turn it over to Mr. Hunter for comments.
So this chapter should be at your seat. I did add a change right here. It's got some yellow. It says Article 6, Design Standards. There's 4 words. Several of you looked at this at the advisory committee meeting on September 4th on the subregs change to add a sub-street policy and some other related language. The city asked for us to add 4 words into that. They're fairly incidental. They're just more kind of lead-in words to some terms. Subdivision development, residential subdivisions. On the second page, residential subdivisions, and then add the word connected in front of routes. Everything else in this chapter that you have in your package is exactly as you looked at it at the advisory committee meeting on September 4th. So I just want to make sure that you have those changes there. What's up on the screen, I want to back up because a couple planning commissioners were not in the advisory committee meeting. As you all know, we've had a situation in the city of Versailles where a developer is not making a critical stub street connection that was promised as far back as 2005 and then shown on 8 versions of a preliminary plat, not making a connection that the city is hoping would occur sooner than later. And when that connection was not made and some back and forth between the city and the developer, the city then issued a resolution or moratorium. Maybe you read about it in the paper. This is the moratorium up on the screen, and it was enacted by the city a couple meetings back. The moratorium's interesting because it talks about, in the first part, several whereas clauses that relate to the developer telling them they're not going to make the connection. There's been some back and forth letters and stuff like that, so I think it's been really formalized now of the developer's position. But in the resolution, now there be it resolved, the first bullet was to direct the planning commission, us, to amend the subregs to put some kind of tool into place to make sure this doesn't happen into the future. So we put together the amendments that are in Article 6, which are basically stub street amendment language. You all looked at that on the 4th, and we think that will address the concern going forward. The second bullet in this was what put the moratorium into effect and basically said any subdivision over 4 lots in the city that had a stub street connection, everything was paused until we worked out this fix. What I've been told is if this was to pass, this amendment to the subregs, so by the way, you guys are final action on, this doesn't go to the city, the planning commission makes amendments to the subregs right here at this body. If that was made, then it's very likely the moratorium would be released here at their next meeting or the following meeting. Right now, it's a 6-month moratorium. It does affect several different developments in the community, but the moratorium was the offshoot of one particular developer and the city talking about a stub street. This is actually the development that we're talking about. This is the Legends development, and it currently has 2 stub street connections. This is the preliminary plat. I highlighted the lots that are not yet built. Right now we're calling that section 5. What's been built now is sections 1, 2, 3, 4, and like a 4A, B, C kind of concept. These are the lots that currently have not been platted, built, or even construction plans submitted on. The stub street that they call Edmonds Crossings there, the one there to the right towards the bottom, that's the stub street that several neighbors in the community, several council members have been wanting the developer to make. There's people that come to the city council and I think on a regular basis and ask when's the street going to be connected to try to hopefully take some traffic off of Montgomery and Main Street, etc. And you know, all we could say from the planning commission side is we don't get there till the developer gets there. And at this point now the developers chose not to go forward and I guess forego some lots and just move on to another project. So at this point, there's no mechanism to get these stub streets connected. So that was the nature of the moratorium. This is the zoning map that shows the gap in the street network right now. This has been a planned street corridor, like I said, all the way back to the 2005 zone change, and then the project was sold, but there's been 8 amended plats that have always shown the stub street connection. And right there's those stub streets that are intended to connect to Sugar Tree and then get us over towards Huntertown Road. That's the backstory on all that, some of that, and there's a zoomed out shot that kind of shows you your whole street network and why this is a critical stub street connection. Then what we did at the directive of the city was to get into Article 6 and put some verbiage in there to guarantee this doesn't occur into the future. And again, you all saw this last week. I won't go into detail on that. I think you guys saw the language. We worked through it. And in fact, you guys the advisory committee recommended this go to the floor of the Planning Commission this month for a public hearing. So here it is. Again, the items in yellow are the 4 words we added to the existing paragraphs you looked at last week. The meat of this document starts on page 6-8, stub streets, and I see I missed a space there. That should have been spaced to the next page. That E should have had a space under that number 17. But when you get into the stub street policy, what it basically says, and by the way, there's never been a stub street policy in the Woodford County subregs. There's only been a provision that talks about there at number 17 that when a stub street is planned, a green sign's supposed to go up saying there'll be a future road connection. But a formal policy on how developers should connect or build stub streets have never been in our document. So this stub street policy in number 1 basically talks about stub streets, where we make them, when we make them, how we do temporary turnarounds, whether they're one lot deep, not one lot deep, etc. But number 2 is kind of the meat of a future fix here, and it says effective September 11th, assuming this is passed, that basically we're going to split these up by projects that are currently under construction and have a notice to proceed, and those that don't. If there's a project that has not been green lighted to start, going forward, if they have a stub street connection, they have to make those connections, build them or bond them in the first phase of their development. If it's a project that's already under construction, they have to make those critical stub street connections in the next phase of their development. So the days of kind of allowing the developer to work front to back and just get to the end and then say we're done, we won't make it, or we didn't get there. You're going to have, if the plat shows, the preliminary plat, stub street connections, the developer's going to have to incorporate those into their first phase construction plans and bond them or build them. That's what number 2 does. The other little small thing we stuck in here was another developer-funded improvement standard. So if there are plans, for example, if we had an official MAPS program and a comp plan, which we do not, but if we had some major projects in our comprehensive plan, or there were projects on the state's 6-year highway plan, and a particular developer is impacting those, we're going to require a developer to participate in those bigger projects if they're at their front door. And those can be done potentially in a prorated fashion, and that's what that paragraph is indicating. There's also one other little small thing here that we added in, and let me get there. And I just want to read it here. Let's see here on page. Yeah. It's on page 6-2, and we talked about it briefly, but number E up there, where you see that first yellow bullet, one of the challenges we have, and one of the concerns, is the Legend subdivision right now, it's got 120, 130 lots, and it's basically a one-way in, one-way out subdivision. We've got other subdivisions that are one-way in, one-way out. That's not a good way to plan subdivisions or build subdivisions with just one entrance or one exit. If there's a wreck at the entrance to that subdivision and we need EMS to get in there, the idea is always have multiple entrances, connectivity to subdivisions. That's why stub streets are important. What E does basically, it says going forward, no individual subdivision can have more than 20 lots on one way in, one way out. We put it at 20 because we know we have the rural clusters out in the county that are traditionally one way in, one way out, 15 lot subdivisions. But in the urban setting, the idea is not to let a developer go forward and do a small subdivision or a phase and stop and only have one entrance. This helps us when a preliminary plat comes in, that if they come in and say, well, we're just going to do 30 lots, we got to see that other entrance somehow. Moving forward, we're just not going to allow these kind of single way in and out subdivisions. And it also determines the length of that one individual street can't be longer than 1,300 feet. But the cap is 20 lots. So when you hit the 20 lot mark on a concept, or if you're working on your plan, you're going to have to figure out how we're getting in and out of that subdivision from another way. So that was a small add there, again, to discourage one-way in subdivisions going forward. Again, you guys saw all this last week on the 4th. I'll be glad to answer any questions, or maybe some citizens here that want to testify or enter comments into the record. This is a public hearing. The goal of the staff would be to hopefully take some action on these amendments so we could get them confirmed to the city that we did immediately address their directive. And then hopefully the moratorium could be lifted for all the other developments, all the developments within the urban serving, or within the city of Versailles. I'll be glad to answer any questions that you might have related to this chapter.
What's your connection length from the end of, if you put that development picture of the plat back up, the slide for the plat? What's your length of connections from the end of the property to the connecting streets?
I'm not sure. There's someone from EA Partners here. I don't know if they want to speak on that, but they basically put gates up at the end of those streets. Some have gates, some are just unfinished. That yellow section right now is kind of junked up back there right now. They've just indicated to the city they're done at that point. So it varies because there's 3 different streets there that are supposed to tie into an existing street network and then stub in 2 different directions. But at this point, the developer has indicated to the city they're just not going to make the connection or build past what you see right there. And I don't think it's about cost. I think I think they've raised issues related to neighborhood safety. They just don't want through traffic coming through their neighborhood going forward.
Well, and I would go to, in Article 6, 600E. If we're looking at changing this ordinance, it specifically states in there that, shall be laid out to discourage through traffic within existing and new neighborhoods, but to provide for connectivity to multiple outlets from the planned neighborhood. I mean,
Right. That's a general requirement that as the subdivision is being developed, we always want to discourage through traffic through a subdivision, but we want connectivity. So there's always going to be some through traffic, but there could have been a different design here to discourage maybe the type of through traffic here. You might have had to turn right, turn left, traffic calming. But I think that provision in 600, those are general design concepts. And again, we're saying we want to discourage through traffic, but we want connectivity to multiple outlets. What we don't want is a one-way subdivision with one entrance ever.
I mean, we all assume, I assume, this is a money thing and whatever else your assumption may be on it as well.
I don't think, I would say I don't know what it is. We're not party to that. I don't know if it's a money thing about building the road. I do know there's 24 lots there that the developer's not going forward on that have been selling at a pretty good clip and pretty good price. I think this is more about that the neighborhood has indicated to the developer they don't want a connection because they don't want through traffic through their neighborhood, is what they don't want. And again, you guys, I don't live here, but you guys probably know folks in the neighborhood better than me. But I think the neighborhood's built out as a pretty exclusive, nice neighborhood. It's a really nice neighborhood, nice homes back there. And I think when you kind of look at the overall master plan of the community, and right there it is, I'll be the first one to say probably not the best design I've ever seen as a planner. Clearly, we're going to have a shot to go from 2 major state arterial roads through our community here, but some neighborhoods already have that. But going back, if you went all the way back to the first subdivision, could you design this differently to busy things up where it's just not where you can get in your car and pretty much just hardly ever turn your steering wheel till you get all the way from one? But unfortunately, that was a concept that was put in play 20 years ago, approved at this planning commission, committed by a developer, and honestly, it's the only real connection that can be made that ties in the whole east side of the town. And unfortunately, that will encourage traffic through several neighborhoods, not just one neighborhood, but all neighborhoods. And some right now between US 60 and Huntertown Road have been experiencing that for several years. And I know the city's put up stop signs and other mechanisms to traffic calm, but if you kind of look big picture, it's hard to find another route like that anywhere in the city. There's more curvilinear subdivisions back on the east. There were more cul-de-sacs used in the day. But now, this is a critical connection for traffic circulation in the community, as well as a planned development that a developer committed to. But I totally understand why a neighborhood would be pushing back on that at this point in time. I mean, you can just see it. But we're at the point where a developer made a promise, and there's a commitment on the plat, and there's a moratorium directive right now, and we need to make a fix so this never happens again.
And if you bought a house there, you knew that was the plan when you bought the house there.
A big sign.
And we've had people in this commission complaining about other kinds of, sort of NIMBY moments because they can't get in and out of their subdivision, but they only have one access point onto the main road.
And I'm not a good historian as far as, I did not do the research, but I know, and I think Rich and I may be the longest two serving members of this commission. I know.
Patty wins, I think.
Okay. But I know when the Legends development come in front of me, I remember saying, oh, Edmonds Crossing's planned to go all the way to Huntertown Road. I remember that at that time. Is that an accurate, I mean, I know.
Yeah, again, the zone change was 05. The preliminary plat that you all approved, or development plan, as a condition of the zone change showed that connection, and it carried forward 20 years through 8 plat amendments.
Oh, so even before my tenure on this
It was
commission.
part of the original zone change.
Okay. So even before the longest serving people on this
And then
commission.
the
that was
development, I believe, was sold, and then it was amended 8 times.
But that never changed though, that plan for that connected road.
No, there's the plat right there. There's the last version. That's Amendment 8 right there.
So I guess exactly what you were saying there, Chad, though. Is it just an understanding that that road is to connect to Edmonds Cross and whatever the other is? Is there something that specifically
Just like we did a zone change with it was a condition of a zone change.
So, okay,
That is binding on a developer. There was a preliminary development plan that is binding on the developer. There's approved plats that are binding on the developer. I guess in theory, someone could come back and amend a plat, bring it back, but this was a condition of a zone change way back.
But there was language in there that said there was going to be connection.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
sure.
I can't say that.
And that's why the community's been
That
waiting
was-
on it for now 20 years.
Yeah.
And neighbors, again, on a regular basis, head on down to city council and say, when are we going to get the road built?
I think when they built the Baldwin Springs connector, there was a plan right then showing how to get traffic east to west
Okay,
through there.
yeah. But it was,
But
again,
then
it was
that
on
time-
that development plan that there was language on there that they would connect.
Sure.
That's,
Yeah.
okay,
And there's the last version right there.
yep, okay.
And again, going forward, we don't have a solution here, but going forward, if this was brand new, what we're putting into print is when the developer comes in here, even if he's going to start in the front on section 1, he's going to have to bond or build these connections in the first phase. So we don't get to the end of the development and the developer either leaves town or says, I'm finished, and then we're stuck with a connection we can't make. We'll have money to build that connection if it's bonded, or the developer will have it built on the front end. Now, they may have to build more road on the front end, but it's just going forward. I think, you can never force a developer to start in the back, go frontwards or front to back. They pick their phasing, but with our policy, they're going to have to incorporate the stub streets going forward.
I mean, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
From a practical standpoint, I mean, and I'm just thinking of the Legends, but I know that's just the one that's the illustrative example in front of us. But I'm assuming, and I don't remember, even though I drove by it while it was being done, I'm assuming that was started near Main Street or 33 and went back. So the developer either's got a bond or take that street all the way through, practical, if we went back in time and this was in place.
And they bonded different. So back in the day, a developer built their streets unbonded. And when they got to the base, or what we'll say, the base is down, they posted a bond at the back end of the development before the plat was recorded. So they built the streets unbonded. And then when they got to the point they wanted to record the plat, and they got the dense grade down, the rock ground, and the base down, the TAC code, all that kind of stuff, curbs in, then they posted a bond just for the surface. So it's just a small amount of money, and the sidewalks, and then we record the plat. What we do now is we bond the entire project, and they can't start the street until we have a bond in place, which we're going to talk about in a minute, for another project. And that bond amount at a 20% clip, the one we're going to do here in a minute, is almost $500,000. So going forward, the way we bond now, a developer's always going to put all the money up front for the entire project before they start any dirt work. And so that way, if this ever happens in the future, number one, we've got a policy they have to incorporate it. Number two, we have a bonding policy we put into play a year ago that guarantees we'll always have enough money to finish the project. If the developer dies, goes bankrupt, goes default under our contract conditions, the government, us, the city, will have enough money to finish the projects. That's not the case on this one. There's no bond money in place. There's no construction phase that has been started. So right now there's no mechanism to finish these roads unless the developer just decides to do it. So our policy is going to go forward for everyone else, but unfortunately, it's not a fix for this one.
So if you develop the first 25 lots and that connective road going back to that stub street, are you gonna make them bond the entire length of that street?
Yes,
Okay,
and included on the construction plans.
okay.
So again, you guys saw the rest of the verbiage in there. I think it's pretty straightforward. It is an amendment to the subregs that you guys have authority to pass as final action.
Steve, this gets away from the street bonding issue a little bit, but on page 620A5, where it says Planning Commission may require consideration regarding street sidewalks, walking, biking trails.
Yeah.
I have some concern about saying the word may in subdivision regulations.
And let me explain, Henry, it's a good catch. So we had another directive from the city. You guys, we've been talking about that. We'll talk about it in a minute. The city sent us a directive, I think when House Bill 443 was passed, it said that cities have to make ministerial and administrative decisions and can't kind of go out of bounds and request things from developers. The city sent us a directive that we put some language like this in play to try to encourage developers to do the right thing and make those critical trail connections when they're on a master plan or connected route. We put may in there because some of those aren't always very obvious where those should be. But I think the idea was to have some language in the book that if we have for example, a trail connection to Huntertown Road Park, and there's a master plan in this community, we want developers to make those connections as well as street connections. So those would be sidewalks or trails or other connected routes, it says. But we put may because we wanted to be a little flexible on that, because there may be situations where it's not practical for a developer to make that trail connection, or it's off-site and there may be a private property concern. But Henry, if you think it's better as shall, we'll work around it. But the city asked us to have some language like this in one of their prior resolutions to address trail connections and other routes when applicable. Yeah. But if you think it's more consistent with shall, we'll make it a shall.
I think the weakness of may is that if we ever did want to enforce it, then that could be challenged under
Yeah.
100.275. So my edit would be strike most of that first line and just say developer shall include street sidewalks and walking, biking trails. I guess my question is, do we have a mechanism for a waiver if something's really...
Yeah, we have
around?
exception language in Article 1 of the subregs that allows the Planning Commission to deviate from plat standards. They always can make an exception to
That's
these rules.
the safety valve if something is too burdensome
Won't
here.
work, we got a wetland or some other reason why this connection won't work. You all have exception authority to deviate from the plat standards all the time. So Henry, what are you suggesting the change would be then?
Strike the first line and lead into the second line with developer shall include.
Okay.
Shall include street, sidewalks, walking, go from there.
Yes, sir.
I got it. Thank you.
Was there anything else before we hear public comments, if any?
There's nothing I have. Thank you.
Anyone want to speak on the amendments to Chapter 6 of the subdivision regulations? Okay, here, no public comments. I will close the hearing on this item. Any further discussion, or is anyone prepared to take action on this?
I'll move that we approve the zoning ordinance text amendment related to Articles, 8 and 10, is that where, I'm sorry, no, we're still on 6.
It's
Article 6
subregs.
of the Woodford County, I read the wrong one. Let me start over. I move that we approve the application to amend Article 6 of Woodford County subdivision regulations. as discussed, and with the minor change correcting the may to shall.
And there was some, and I think there was some additional language coming out of that as well, is what our council recommended.
Right, as amended.
As amended by
Okay,
council.
fine.
Okay.
We have a motion, do we have a second? Any discussion? All in favor of the motion to amend the subdivision regulations, Article 6, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. The next item is also a public hearing item. The Planning Commission has filed a zoning ordinance text amendment related to Articles 8 and 10 of the Versailles-Midway-Woodford County zoning ordinance. I will open this public hearing and turn it over to Mr. Hunter on this issue.
Yep. So again, you all saw these are two chapters that we packaged together, 8 and 10, that you all did look at on September 4th at the advisory committee. Again, the reason why these chapters are before you, we've had recent floods here in this community, and I think it's come to light that we have a lot of non-conforming structures and a lot of non-conforming lots in this county. Our current Chapter 8 deals with non-conformities. Actually had a lot of different subtitles. You see non-conforming lots, non-conforming uses of land, non-conforming uses of structures and premise, and non-conforming characteristics of use. We're simplifying that to just non-conformities. And the main change here is what has happened before is if your property was flooded or you was hit with a fire or tornado, the current regulations require that if it's damaged beyond a certain percentage, you have to comply with the zoning ordinance. That's problematic for small lots that are non-conforming structures that don't meet setbacks. Basically, it's tough for someone to build back their house. What I indicated, I think, to the advisory committee and to several other folks, as you know, the fiscal court waived some regulations so these flood survivors could get their homes built back. So right now, we've got kind of a waiver of the rules. We waived some fees so people could get back building their homes. But long term, you know, if we have another flood, we have a tornado, or someone has a fire, what this does is create two tiers of what we call voluntary and involuntary demolition for non-conforming structures. And the key is on the first one, a voluntary demolition. You're choosing to tear your house down or do something, and it's similar language we had before. If it's destroyed more than 55%, you got to build back, follow all the rules. But the second one is more what we call a no harm, no foul kind of rule, that if it's an involuntary, I mean, no one wants their home to burn or be flooded, but if that was to occur, that if they will get a building permit for within 6 months, they have the right to build back on the same footprint, even though it doesn't comply with the setbacks, for example, or it's a non-conforming lot. So that's a pretty major change for our ordinance, and I think will be helpful for people. I mean, there's hundreds of people. I don't know how many lots were flooded, a couple hundred, but several folks are trying to renovate homes, build back their homes, and they're hung right up with the zoning ordinance and will be in the future. So this would amend, it's a small chapter. It basically has been changed to non-conforming structures, non-conforming uses of land, non-conforming lots of record, and then some general repairs and maintenance, clarifying when someone can just do repairs and maintenance, deals with some sign issues or non-conforming signs, and the chapter's just 3 pages long. So what we're proposing is to amend Chapter 8 fairly timely here so we could get this onto the fiscal court, so that I think our waiver of the fees and those things times out here in October, and then the county's got a waiver of the zoning ordinance for a few more months, but we'd like to get this ratified by the local governments, hopefully prior to another flood. So that's Chapter 8, not much there. Chapter 10 is our floodplain ordinance, or flood damage prevention ordinance. It's housekeeping mostly. There's several words that were just out of place. The main changes on this are on page, let me get here, 10-13 and 10-14. And those were suggestions made by our floodplain coordinator to match what substantial improvement definition is in the FEMA regulations. As we've been working with all these property owners on these damaged properties and getting these flood elevation certificates issued, we realized our floodplain ordinance doesn't match the FEMA standards. So it's important we make that change on page 10-13, and then page 10-14 had the wrong map reference. There's a second map reference for our flood maps. So those are two housekeeping changes just to get us in line with our FEMA regulations. The rest is just housekeeping. Since we got into the chapter, we went ahead and made sure the cross references are right. Anywhere the word ordinance was there was misplaced, we changed it to article. And I can't tell you if there's not 200 of those that I had to fix. Because this isn't an ordinance, the zoning is an ordinance, this particular article is an article of the zoning ordinance. So we just did some housekeeping. That's everything I have for those two chapters, and again, you all looked at it on September 4th and made a recommendation to shoot it here to the Planning Commission for a formal public hearing.
Any questions to Mr. Hunter with regard to these proposed changes? Anyone want to make, anyone from the public that's here tonight want to make, have any comments on this issue? I will close the public hearing on item E3. Any further discussion? Anyone prepared to take action on this item?
Move we accept the amendments to Articles 8 and 10 as specified by the documents in front of us.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion to the amendment to Articles 8 and 10, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. The the next item
This is simple.
is E4. This item's been tabled from prior meetings, maybe prior meetings. This is the Planning Commission's filed a zoning ordinance text amendment related to Articles 2 and 7 of the Versailles-Midway-Woodford County zoning ordinance. I will turn this over to Mr. Hunter.
Yeah. I don't know, Henry, do we need a motion to bring it off the table?
Yes, sir. To bring it out?
Bring it out. And I formally, but there is something I need to mention though. If you guys are we untabling it then to discuss?
Do
We
we
need
have
to
a motion?
make a motion to untable item number 4, the,
Regarding Articles 2 and
Yes.
7 of the
Yes.
zoning ordinance. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion is, or the item is untabled. Go ahead,
Yeah.
sir.
So, real quick, you should have another sheet at your desk there. It says A1 at the top. And this one's tricky. The advisory committee met on the 4th for 2 hours. They met before this meeting for 2 hours. So they've got 4 hours logged here on all these items you all just discussed. Items 2 and 7, the advisory committee looked at in 2024 in September, later into the year. And if you remember, we sent, of all this document 2 and 7, we broke down a subset to send to the county that mostly focused on the county side zones. We shot that to the county in December of 24, including a revision to the in-family conveyance verbiage. The fiscal court rejected that proposal, sent us back a directive to the sentence on what they'd like the in-family conveyance verbiage to say. The advisory committee went to work on that and has made some tweaks to that language that the court sent us. At the last advisory committee meeting, you all made some changes, and that's on this 2-page handout here, and then we have the whole section. The challenge we're going to have is, I don't know where we need to go tonight. The advisory committee has got through all of Article 7, which is 89 pages, but there's some changes I need to make that were worked out at 4 o'clock that are not in front of you. But what we thought we would do is start with this Article 7 and jump right back to the in-family, because there's something that needs to get worked out here at the full Planning Commission. I don't know that Article 7's ready tonight because I don't have the proper version in front of you later into the document. We discussed some changes to truck stops and some standards we want to put in play and definitions. So the advisory committee did get through the 2 chapters and sent them here. They're ready to be a hearing. You have them, but you don't have the exact verbiage. But as far as the ag zone, you have exactly with what you looked at on the 4th, but they've made another change. So what you have in front of you here is the in-family conveyance lot verbiage as amended from the court directive, but there's an option A and B in item 3. And where the advisory committee left this was the original proposal from the court and that we had printed was that you basically got 1 or 2 in-family conveyed cuts. There was some discussion about making that 2 and 4 and using the same acreage splits. So they created an option, or I was told to create an option A and B in number 3, and that the full planning commission would decide whether we're going A or B. So even with this page, it's not in a final form because what the advisory committee wants you all to do as the full commission is decide whether we're going with A or B. The second part was in number 5, where we have the primary parcel should be held for 5 years and the conveyed to 10. That was revised this afternoon to 2 and 10. So the primary parcel would be held for 2 years and the conveyed piece for 10 years. So that's even a change that's not on this document. So you see the challenge of us moving forward with a true public hearing or any kind of action when we don't have the exact document in front of us, but we could do some wordsmithing of it. But what I thought you all need to do is maybe as a full commission talk about this page, see if anyone here wants to testify on these changes, and then you all maybe as a consensus could give me some direction whether we're going with A or B. And that's all I have at this point till we work through that, and I'll defer to Randall, the chairman of the advisory committee, if there's anything you want to say. I think we met for 2 hours and that's where we're at.
Yeah. Well, everybody, what he said and what was done back on the 4th is option A or option B, and then what we come up with this afternoon on trying to be fair as possible is line number 5, and we come up with consensus of 2 to 10. 2 and 10, excuse me.
What was the rationale for going down to 2, given we have the exceptions for the hardship and the judicial action? Sorry, because I missed it.
Let Chris explain.
I was going to show you, should we read the option A and option B?
Hold on.
Oh. There you go. It's kind of hard to see.
Patty suggested Chris
Yeah.
explain that.
Oh. So, my thoughts on that is you have a conforming tract of 30 acres once or if this is adopted. So that conforming tract of 30 acres, which is as small a tract as we'll be able to go back down to, is conforming. So with that being conforming, that lot should be allowed to do whatever you want to do with that at any given time. I don't think there should be, let me rephrase that. The 2 years was a compromise between us on the commission to not have an immediate sale, but to give some leeway and allow those folks to sell that at a quicker point in time if they feel like it. Now back to your hardship or your judicial, I don't think that really comes into play with just giving the individual the freedom to sell a conforming tract of 30 acres at any point in time that they want to, whether or not it's the day of the approval of a in-family conveyance or not. I mean, if it's conforming, it's conforming. So they should have the right to sell that at the 2-year point. But again, if the judicial or the hardship comes into play, then it's still going to allow them to sell quicker. Yeah.
So we're giving up on the idea that this was ever about maintaining family farms. It's simply about giving a way for people to get out.
So I guess with what you're saying, a conforming 30 acres is, now we go
I
back.
get it. I mean,
Yeah.
I understand the legal logic about it's conforming, you ought to be able to sell it.
Yeah.
But I still can't help but go back to what I thought this was about 30 whatever years ago.
Yeah.
Was giving people the possibility to stay on a farm and have their kids have land as well.
Yeah.
And that's gone. That's gone now, because
and-
you just said, okay, you can cut a lot off, you can sell that, and then you can sell the place, and so you can make a little extra money before you abandon the farm.
And that's true, but I think, you correct me on this if I'm wrong, Steve, that 30 acres has to be used for agricultural regardless, is that correct? So they have to sign an affidavit saying that that will be used for agricultural use. So if that be the case, agricultural use is cutting hay, flower beds, so.
So we're meeting in the middle, because that's cold comfort for saving a family farm, but it does maintain farmland. I get it.
Exactly, yes, and I mean, we all have to assume that if they sign that affidavit, they're going to use it, but we all know how that works as well.
To split a hair, Commissioner Sharp, those affidavits don't usually say it shall be used this way in perpetuity. It's at the time of this application, it is being used in this way.
Okay.
Okay.
Just said the same thing.
That basically keeps it in the agriculture realm. If, owner, whoever has it has
Yeah,
to
but
sign.
it was gonna stay in the agriculture both ways.
Well, yes.
Yeah. I mean, I get that.
But the precursor to cut off the conveyed lot, the premise is the person living there is coming back to the farm to work with mom or dad or grandpa. And if either half of this gets sold, there's not that relationship that's in the title. I mean, the whole idea here, the intent, I think, was that in-family means, we're making an exception to the rule so I can get a family member back here. But if one half of that farm gets sold to someone else, there's no family relationship at the 2-year mark. Now, that doesn't mean everyone's going to sell them at the 2-year mark, but we know what's occurring now without a hold on the parent track, especially when we do these spouse-to-spouse conveyances. I think the fiscal court, I don't want to speak for them, but I think their idea was to put the 10-year hold on the parent track, and the conveyed track was to deter anyone that would say, hey, I can come in here and ride it out for 24 months or a couple years, and then I can sell. The idea was that and by the way, there were 40-some people came and testified at the fiscal court or spoke to them. Several people that did this right and thought there were loopholes that need to be closed and said we shouldn't be penalized for the people that are taking advantage of these kind of loopholes in this. And they were the ones that suggested there should be holds on the parent track. That came from kind of the crowd. And then the fiscal court kind of built it from there. But the idea is if you put the hold on and it's serious in nature, there's less chance speculative land development will occur on these properties. There will be a relationship, at least for 5 years, 10 years of some kind, between family members.
I guess that's my hesitation, is it is an exception. So I'm definitely a fan of it's your property, you do what you want. But in this situation, where you're not just selling it, you're doing an in-family conveyance, and we're already making an exception, I feel like, and I'll obviously go with the commission, but I like 5 better.
So what's the potential for the future development on that 30 acres?
Hopefully none.
But is there potential for additional development on that 30 acres? Because that's what you just said, Steve, we want to limit the amount of development on that 30 acres. I mean, that 30 acres at that point is a conforming, it has to stay 30 acres. There is no more subdividing on that piece of property, is that?
Yeah, you won't be able to divide to 30, but 5 years goes by or 10, and then the other property sells. And at the end of the day, we got all these rules here to try to assume there's some relationship that clearly after 5 years or 2 years or 10 years, not going to be there. And we're just creating lots out here, less than 30. And if that's the case, our original proposal was more spot on, which was just an exception proposal that said, look, if you want to carve off 1 or 2 lots, we don't need to know the reason and who's who, but I think it was important to the fiscal court that we keep the word in family in here and there be a relationship. I guess that's the problem, is there won't be a relationship if you all don't somehow impose that. But maybe we shouldn't be
Without a
policing that at
relationship,
all.
it becomes one more way to start dotting the county with 2-acre parcels
And new homes.
of homes, 2-acre
Yeah.
parcels just hanging out there. That's true.
And several of these provisions will be hard for us to police maybe or check, but the whole idea is these would all roll into a deed and be some attorney's problem or title clerk's problem going forward.
And I don't think the fiscal court will approve it with 2.
Don't they do well? Well, wait.
Well, we don't know those answers.
I don't know, I'm just saying, based on how it came back in the first place, we
I
already
agree with
lowered
trying to
it.
hang on to agriculture as much as possible.
Yeah.
Times are changing terribly as far as the agriculture business altogether. Yes, a lot of little mom and pops trying to hang on to it the best they can with whatever they can do with. But
I mean, the reality is reality.
Reality is reality.
Agricultural, there's not money in agricultural anymore, unfortunately, and I hate that. I mean, I came from a community that was, that's all it was. And I hate that, but reality is reality.
Agree
And I
with you.
still don't see,
agree with you 100%.
yeah, I still don't see what we're doing here is gonna cause our agricultural land to develop any further out.
I agree with Whitney. You should be able to do what you want with your own land. But
But
exactly right.
You know, I guess the planner in the room, and some of you guys are clearly planners too, you've been on here a long time, but, you know, I just see like we're kind of working at this backwards. You know, 2 years ago, we asked for a moratorium to the court so we could work on our comprehensive plan. But it's easy to talk about all these things, that way they should be, and what about farming, but unfortunately, all I gotta do is turn back one page to the purpose statement, the intent statement, and whether we believe farmers alive or dead or going fast or not, it's a protected industry in this county. It's referenced, the intent statement of this district is to preserve these lands. On top of that, our comprehensive plan is very clear that we're in the business of preserving farmland and preserving family farms. Again, if the goal is to get away from that, we really need to start with comprehensive plan first. And if we're going to decide, hey, we're no longer going to farm as a community, we're going to build residential lots on 30-acre tracts, then let's put that in our comp plan. Let's domino it down to our intent statement, and then let's cut off lots in the ag zone, or make it a 1-acre district, whatever you want. But I struggle with this provision, the exception in general, when it doesn't match up with the intent statement of the ag zone or the goals and objectives of our currently adopted comprehensive plan, chapter 1. That's why we asked for the moratorium, so we could work on the comp plan and try to figure out where we want to go as a community for farmland preservation, for growth in the urban service boundary. We need to, they'll start with your comprehensive plan, and they end up with a paragraph in your zoning ordinance, hopefully. But we're going backwards. We're trying to fix this and trying to decide what we think's happening out here in the market and farming, and what people should have and where they should get to build. But our comprehensive plan's pretty straightforward. This exception lot, rural, runs 100% afoul of our goals and objectives. 100%.
But I go back to what we talked about earlier. You said adopt a community with 30-acre lots and build houses on them. I mean, we don't, if we want to dig that deep, then we need to look and see how many potential pieces of property there are out there that we can subdivide out into these conveyances of whether it be 1 and 2 or 2 and 4, and see how many of those 30-acre tracts already have homes built on them. We may not be increasing our homes or our density or whatever we want to choose to say about it by a significant amount.
So Chris, I did the math for the fiscal court. In the last 10 years, we've built 321 homes in the county outside the urban service boundary. Last year alone, we did 42 building permits out in the county,
Okay.
in an area where we're preserving farmland.
So what's the potential bills for the remainder that we have? Do we
I guess
know?
we could look at how many vacant parcels we have. We have 4,400 parcels. We have about 1,100, 1,200 households. I guess, you know, another 3,000 homes. I don't know. The in-family conveyed lots, the numbers I showed you, if you kept the old provision, this would be 8,000 new lots. Now, we don't know how many homes that would be. With the change to 1 or 2 lots, it brought it down to like 800. And if you guys go with option B, it'd bring it back up to about 1,700. But how many homes could be built? That'd be hard to determine. There's lots that aren't buildable. There's non-conforming lots. There's floodplain lots. But I guess the idea is, are we developing out in the county or are we preserving farmland? And the comprehensive plan's pretty straightforward about that. We're supposed to be building those small community footprints but we're supposed to be discouraging residential development in the county. Yet we're talking about creating lots through this provision. So we either have a 30-acre rule or we don't. That's kind of the planner in me. But I understand why we have the exception and why it's been there, and now we're trying to tweak it. And I think at the end of the day, it's just hard to justify what's going on with farming or I think at the end of the day, we're either creating lots or we're not. And how many do people get? And to that point, Chris, what's the hold? What's a reasonable hold, How many do they get, and how long should they hold them?
And if we go back to let's say 8,000 lots at 15, which is our max of what it
Yeah.
says right now.
Worst case scenario, yeah.
Yeah, so that puts us at 8,000 lots, but if we do the math backwards and we do the 1 to 2 or the 2 to 4.
It's like 870.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or 70.
Substantially
or 1800,
drops.
Depending on which option, yeah.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it drops everything substantially.
There are definitely wins in this proposal. The 1 or 2 versus doing 15, clearly a win. Having a conforming track after it's divided, clearly a win. Having frontage for all lots, clearly a win. Putting a hold on to deter the speculative type land division, I'm of the opinion if you put any hold on the parent track, you will deter some of the folks that come in here and make these LLC moves so they can just turn around and flip property and cut it up. So, whether it's 5 or 10 or 2 or whatever, I think that's a win in itself that we're considering a hold on the property.
So when you say cut it up, and I want to make this clear, when you say cut it up, you're talking about a larger piece of property. You're talking about 100, 200.
It's both. The big ones get cut into 30s and the 30s get cut into smaller.
That's what I was
50s get
thinking.
cut
I think
into,
that's what he was
we
thinking.
just cut up a 50-some today.
Yeah, we did.
So we do them all. The big farms get smaller,
Yeah.
the smaller farms get smaller, and the prime farmland gets smaller and less likely to be farmed.
And when it comes down to it, we've had a 2-year window now, and people are scrambling, and everybody's got a chance to do what they wanted to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's take it up.
I'm just impressed how many hours we've logged on this one paragraph. I didn't know it was possible that we could talk about 8 bullet points for 4 or 5 hours.
We're
It's
talking
crazy.
about a county and how we want to preserve it,
Yeah, it's important.
Yeah.
how fast we want it to grow.
That-
I like the comment was made about about Fayette County and what the commissioners did up there the other night. Why do people come to Fayette County? How do people come to Lexington?
No clue what they say.
They came for the horse farms and the racetrack. But with all the industry coming in, they're trying to deter the horse industry, make it come out our way. But how many new horse farms are being built today? That's the next question. We're trying to save the land, the beauty of it. That's why people come to Kentucky, Central Park especially. But how many new horse farms are being built today?
There's not any new horse farms.
That's
being
right.
built, and most of your horse farms that are being
The
ran
horses
today
being sold now are going to other states
or are
and things.
being taken over is not for the benefit of our communities anyway.
That's exactly right.
It's for
And
monetary issues or whatever you want to say it. That's why these horse farms are still being ran or being bought up now.
I mean, 2 nice ones that are on 60. I don't know who owns them now. I mean, the orphan that's built it had chandeliers in the barns and lit up at night. Nothing. They're dark as can be now.
So the truth is, we're not talking about those places right now.
Nah.
They're not in here.
They're not-
This isn't the problem.
but-
we can have that conversation, but let's go to the
But-
bar and do it.
So how do we move forward on this issue?
We're talking about.
Do we want to try to
talking about other
save?
parts of the county? That's
Do we
what
want to try to save our land as much as possible?
Yeah.
Since this is a public hearing, and I want to give every commissioner an opportunity to talk, but since we've kind of narrowed it down to what's in front of us with these further revisions in Chapter 7, has every commissioner had an opportunity to ask questions or to give their take on this tonight?
I have 2 housekeeping notes for whenever they're appropriate.
Well, I was going to take public comments, so can we go ahead and take care of that? Notes.
Okay. Paragraph 5, when talking about the exceptions, I think we should change it to parties to the original in-family conveyance plat application, where it says due judicial action, strike that and make it pursuant to court order or arising from substantial hardship. I don't know if the attorneys on this commission agree with me. I think that's the clearest way to say you can't just gin something up and say, oh, there's a lawsuit now, so we have to sell. It's the court-ordered sale. And then paragraph 7 talks about where these restrictions are going to be shown on the plat and the deed. And I think the restrictions should be clarified what they are. And so it would say the in-family conveyance lots restrictions in paragraph 5, as well as a note of ineligibility for further in-family conveyance shall be recorded, etc. I think showing that it's ineligible for further in-family conveyance, even though we've got our rule, and if you look back to whatever the stop date is, you can determine it. But saying this can't be done again is important.
Can you restate your language you would add after restrictions?
Restrictions in paragraph number 5, which is the 2 and 10 maybe. The restrictions in paragraph 5, as well as a note of ineligibility for further in-family conveyance.
And then pursuant to court order, or you said arising from?
Substantial hardship.
Okay. I like that better than judicial action.
Yeah. Yes.
Commissioners, any more comments before we hear from the public, from public comments, if any?
If any.
Anyone want to make comments on this evening?
Mike.
Turn that mic on there, please.
Okay, my name's Lori Garkovich, and I want to make a comment about the in-family conveyance, but I also have a question about about the language on solar panels in the ag district. So I'll get to that, but this first one, a couple questions. Who determines a substantial hardship? What is the definition of a substantial hardship, and who determines that? I think when you don't have those kinds of things answered in your ordinance, then you create opportunities for litigation. Okay. On the option that you have chosen, which I believe was option B, where you could have 2 in-family conveyances.
You haven't chosen.
No, you didn't pick that one?
We have not. They haven't decided between A and B
Okay,
yet.
well, let me just point out that the language in option B, if you have a 32-acre farm, and you're taking 2 lots off of it, that's, since under 2, all family lots shall be at least 2 acres, that's 4 acres.
4 acres, needs to be 30.
32 minus 4 acres is
So technically that needs to be 34.
below, yeah, you can't do that. I'm just saying that.
Gotta change
So
that
you
to
just want
34.
want to be very careful about that.
Yeah.
And I just got to say this because it really rankles me. Kentucky ranks 11th in the nation in the percentage of land in principal cover crops, 24.1%. That's almost a 4% decline. That was in 2025, and that was almost a 5% decline from the 2020 estimate of that, of coverage by principal crops. Now that's all of Kentucky, but if you drive around Woodford County, you realize we have a lot of cover crops, and think about what's happening to them. Secondly, I want to point out, okay, Woodford County farm income, net cash net cash income from farming, $78.379 million. From crop sales, $16.355 million. Animal sales, $219.47 million. And this is from the 2023 ag census, 22-1. Direct to consumer sales, 1.6 million, and ag tourism, 4.46 million. And just so happens that there are 1,861 hired hands and 1,403 producers. I would suggest that farming is a viable economic activity in Woodford County. Otherwise, it's hard to produce those kinds of numbers. So that was my thing about it. I just want to kind of get some clarity on which option you're going to take and how it's phrased and how you're going to define substantial hardship. Second question, on the solar panels. I think you've done a really good job in the ag, making merchant type, large-scale solar panel generation not available to agricultural land, except for one problem. And that is, in the language that you have, ground-mounted solar panel systems are a primary, is a primary use of property in the ag and conservation districts on tracts less than 10 acres, okay? Which implies that, and, but does that mean that but not larger?
Yeah.
I don't understand, okay.
It does.
I think we might want to make that really specific.
So that solar, that is private solar. And what we don't want is a tract that's 10 acres or greater, the principal use are just panels.
Okay, so what if, so private solar,
So if you have a farm and you have multiple tracts,
okay,
and you want to power your barn or your house or your grain bins, what we're saying is we don't want to see a tract out there where all they do is put solar panels on it, because 10 acres is a volume that's beyond what someone would need for just private solar.
And
10 acres of panels are pretty industrial scale.
well, 10 acres, to 10 megawatts takes about 115 acres to produce with the current technology.
Right.
So I can't imagine someone privately putting.
Well, I've seen some farmers cover about 4 acres, 5 acres with
It's
them.
not going to, I'm just concerned about leaving something, if we don't say something like between 11 and, or higher than 10 acres, neither private nor merchant.
Well, merchant's not allowed
Yeah, I know that.
in any
Okay.
form.
No,
whatever
then
size.
maybe not, you can't have it on more than 10 acres.
Yeah. I think
That
the
might be
key
a
is
cap,
that-
is what I'm
The
suggesting.
key is that word primary use.
Primary use.
If there's nothing else on the property but solar panels, we don't want to see that.
And I just want to say, being on the original committee on all of this, that's the same question on substantial need. Who determines what's a primary use?
Well, the zoning ordinance does. Right here on the page, what we call them principal uses. But
Yeah.
primary uses would be agriculture use, riding stable park, a single-family home, these type of things. And then you have these conditional uses, like let's say a wedding venue. But in my opinion, when it says primary use, that means all I see on that property are just panels. No house.
Okay, so I could have a house on
Then
a
the
quarter of an
panels
acre
are
lot.
The panels are accessory in nature,
Okay.
whatever size.
So I just want us to understand that
Yeah.
if we don't, I think we just need to tighten that language.
Yeah.
So that we don't get,
And they may need to say principal use, or it might need to say the ground mounted
Yes.
solar panel, so it's not permitted as
Not-
a principal use of the
Yes.
property on tracks less
yeah,
than
that might be, that would
'Cause
probably,
that's
that
the
would solve
goal
my
is
concerns.
If that's
yeah.
all that's there, then you're making a mini solar farm.
Because I just got to read through some of this last night at 11 o'clock at night. So I just want to make sure. So I'm just saying, let's be sure that we're very precise and we understand how some of those words are going to be operationalized. Thank you.
Anyone else want to speak tonight with regard to this issue? We'll go ahead and close the public hearing tonight on this issue. So are we in position, I don't know if we're in a position to take any action on this.
Yeah, I have to go back and make several edits, and it's almost going to have to force us to next month. But there's still this decision about this option A or B.
Yeah, we have to make these decisions.
This option by A
I
or
would just
B.
like to say, because we heard the concern about the hardship, and I think we had that discussion about what constitutes a hardship last month. And all I remember is having the exact same feelings. I feel it should be defined, and being convinced that that was actually impossible to do, and that there was a mechanism of adjudication that would take care of that. I thought you put that forward, in a sense. I don't want to put you on the spot, but I will.
Right, no, of course. We had this discussion earlier this afternoon, and I think I asked how we were going to define substantial hardship, and the answer is that we are not. That's not going to be something that the Planning Commission does, because the time when substantial hardship is litigated is, at the time of
Case by case, yeah.
conveyance. So,
Or a closing or title search. It's going. Once these are conveyed, they're gonna go into the deed, and if someone says, look, I've got a substantial hardship, I'd like to sell the property 18 months and not 2 years, that's between a court or an attorney or two individuals sitting at the table at the closing. It's not gonna be us. It's a deed restriction at that point, and how they define it, who knows what the substantial hardship could be. It could be two attorneys arguing over and if we define it, we might too narrowly define it based on a court order or something that's out there but it won't be us because it's past us at that point.
I want to amend what I said, though, because it could be us. The Planning
be us.
Commission is empowered by KRS to take action.
Yeah, that's true.
And if we thought there were violations out there that we really wanted to pay attention to, we could bring a suit about that and say, this is what we think a substantial hardship is.
The challenge with this whole thing is once it goes to the deed and then someone tries to sell, we're not party to any of that, nor would we know that a property's trying to be sold, or we're just not there. We'd have to be notified that there was a deed violation somehow and then take action, I guess.
And I think in the end, we got caught up in like, okay, so let's say we don't want that to happen. We could define substantial hardship. How the hell are we gonna do that?
Yeah,
Now,
that would
how do
be-
you do that now? How do you anticipate everybody's contingency in their life down the road, basically? Unless there's some model out there we should have known about.
From a procedural standpoint, do we need to table this until table this issue until the October meeting?
I don't know, no, the whole article, probably yes, but as far as the decisions on this page, it'd be good if you all gave me some direction on these edits I need to make, so then you have a correct document at the next meeting.
Yeah, we have to make a decision on this.
Yeah, we have
I'm
to.
more comfortable with option A on number 3.
Go around.
Do a straw poll? Do a straw poll?
Yeah, start with 10. See what option 10 agrees with on.
Option A.
Okay.
Yeah, we're all looking at you, Floyd.
Let's see, option A.
Back to me here. I'd say
I'm a B.
I'm option A.
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 B.
A's have it.
Chad?
Oh,
I mean, does it matter?
no.
I mean,
We wanna know, we wanna know.
Your vote doesn't count today.
We all had to say.
really, I know what the vote's gonna be, so I really don't have to say. So it's
And you're sitting up there, so you win.
yeah, I do. So, between option A and option B, option A carries.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we do need in the minutes the final vote of that. I would probably lean toward B, but I think it was 3-6. Okay. Rich, are you happy that I disclosed my position on that?
I'm happy, Chad.
And then on the year holds, are you guys firm on the 2 and 10 or 5 and 10 or?
I would like for it to be noted that I compromised on 2 and 10, that I really like the 5 and 10.
Oh, I do too. I like 5.
Me too. 5 and 10.
Same thing again.
Me too. Like 5.
Specifically, this is the hold on the parent tract.
Yes.
What we're, yeah.
In item 5.
D5 on page 7-9.
Right.
So we need to go around again between the 5 and 7 year on the parent track. I guess we'll start with Chris.
My compromise was for the 2 years, not the 5, and the 10 years on the conveyance.
I like 5 and 10.
5 and 10.
It's
5
2
and
and,
10.
oh, sorry. Yeah. It was 2 and 10.
well, I said 2 and 10, but when we were discussing this, so I'll stick with it.
5 and 10.
5 and 10.
I would go with 2 and 10, but I don't think it matters.
All right.
wait a minute.
5 for 5, 4
We
for
got,
2.
there's 89 other pages in this chapter that they made
Five to
changes
four.
on at 4 o'clock.
Okay,
It was close.
Patty got it.
Yeah,
and
Patty.
she went with 5.
They got
Yeah,
through
she went with
that
5.
chapter. We just
5
haven't
years,
got it done
on
here.
5, provision number 5 will stay 5 years on the parent track.
All this.
Okay.
In advance.
And then, with regard to, also, our council recommended some additional language in number 5 and number 7. Pursuant to court order in number 5, and then number 7, after restrictions, the reference back in paragraph number 5, as well as a note of ineligibility for further conveyances. Is that accurate?
Further in-family.
In-family.
In family, yes, sorry.
And he also added, or arising from substantial hardship. In number 5.
Or arising from.
Okay, thank you for that, reminding me on that. Is, any discussion on those? Is everyone okay with those, that additional language? Any, I guess, from an efficiency standpoint, anyone have a problem with the additional language that our council has recommended on that? So from a procedural standpoint, do we need any further motion to?
Well, and again, the advisory committee worked on this, but there's 20 districts in this chapter, and this is just one. They made some changes to some other districts. The city has sent us several directives over the years. The Housing Affordability Task Force had several changes to the R zones, R2 zone, R3, R4. The advisory committee looked at all of those today. They have not yet been presented to the full commission. So we really need to get you through this whole chapter or get it corrected with all the changes and then mail it out in your packets maybe next month so you guys can see the whole chapter. But we got through all the directives that the city has made over the couple years, all the changes to lot sizes, density that the city asked, as well as these changes. All of them got through the advisory committee now in a 4-hour run, but they're just not ready. So I
The
don't see how
public
we.
needs a chance to be able to
And
come
the
in the
public
office.
hasn't seen them in print form yet either. So I'm gonna need a little time to doctor up the 2 chapters, and I don't see how we could do them tonight.
We can't send at least just this portion of the in-family conveyance up to the court, so that
I
portion can move?
mean, you
Like-
could, there's chapter 2 changes that need to go with it, and we could, but then we're holding off on the city stuff that they've been waiting on for over a year. There's a lot of changes in this chapter that are, we spent so much time on this that literally we have backburnered, I think.
Well, we spent
5
so
or
much
6
time on it because it's a priority and everybody in the community wants something done. So I thought the whole point of us doing all this was to get this back to the
Well,
fiscal
And
court.
it's also, but the advisory committee realized we got several directives that needed to be done in the industrial zone, in the commercial zones, in the downtown zone, related to crematoriums. And we got through all that today, but, the city's been asking us to get rolling on this other stuff, and we've been just holding, trying to get through this. And it slowed down because we sent it to the court and they sent it back. But, these are all in the same chapter. So for efficiency, it would make sense to get everything in the chapter reviewed, tested through a public hearing, and then shoot it out to all the governments and see what sticks. But, there's several things in chapter 7 that you guys haven't even looked at yet. The advisory committee has.
Let me ask this, Steve, with as much attention as been paid to the in-family conveyances or has been, do you think maybe it would be best just to send it through by itself, and that way we don't get really focused on this and not really dig into the remainder of the...
I don't know, y'all, there's a lot of work here. The county obviously is gonna be concerned with this, it's county side, but the city probably care less about this, there's no ag property in the city.
Yeah.
They've been waiting on these other changes for over a year.
Yeah. That's
And
what I'm looking at.
how you guys attack them, how you guys approve them is really up to you. We've advertised chapters 2 and 7. The manufactured home verbiage that goes into effect January 1 needs to get in our book. And we're down to the wire on that. There's a lot of changes in 7 that need to run through a public hearing
It's
test.
pushing this forward and just pushing this section forward. How does that slow down what we're doing with
Yeah, I
the
was
rest of
wondering,
the chapter?
same thing.
Because the ordinances
Yeah.
aren't gonna look the same. If we send just this and we send the rest to the city, the county still needs the rest of the document too. If the county rejects this, and the city passes it, then it doesn't match. There's changes in the rest of the document that all the jurisdictions need to see.
That impact the in-family conveyance
No,
section.
it impacts
No,
single
it didn't- it
family,
didn't affect any of that.
housing affordability, crematoriums, industrial zones. I mean, we have a laundry list of things we're trying to achieve with this article. We broke it in half initially to send it to the court and see what would kind of land, but at the same time, we've pushed back. Again, we went through all the city side stuff in September of '24. They sent us a directive in August of '24. They sent us some directives way back to '23. And we got through all of them today, funny enough. It took a while, 2 hours.
I guess maybe we should, I guess that's my confusion. We did it before, and then now we're back here, and kind of like what Chris said, we've already heard from the public on in-family conveyance lots.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's folks that care about what the city's looking for, but I haven't heard the same rumbling about that. So, and again, us putting just this in front of the fiscal court doesn't change the timeline for the rest of that, which none of that impacts in-family conveyance. I mean, I'm just putting that out there because I do think that it's going to be a distraction for everything else, like it has been up to this point.
Yeah. Well, we did it two ways. The first time we sent the county side zones, A1, A2, A4, CO, and RR. And they didn't have any questions on anything but the in-family, and they shot it back.
Right.
So then we decided, let's just focus on the A1 portion and make it simple. But we got fixes planned for the RR2. We don't know what any of the governments are going to do, but I mean, just to be honest, we're trying to, for efficiency, it's the same article, has all these things in it. So it's going to come back to you guys 3 times, 4 times, and that's fine. You could adopt it verbatim. Well, this is Versailles' chapter, this is Midway's chapter, this one goes to the county. But if we send it to them like that and they adopt them in different ways, we're going to end up with 3 separate ordinances in this community that won't match.
But I kind of agree with them too, because this is what everybody's been wanting. And if you send the whole package to them, the 89 packages, how many people's going to have time to discuss that and get through it and still get it done by January 1?
Well, we really haven't even introduced it here to the planning
I
commission
know we
at this
haven't, but
point, you know.
it wasn't that bad of changes that
No, it's a lot there, but.
I mean, it's a lot we went through, but like if a truck stop came about or.
Oh, well, you guys made some changes to truck stops and.
Who makes the final, oh, go ahead.
So I'm a little confused. So I understand you're asking to take the in-family, just call it the in-family portion.
Just these
And
first
portion that
9
we sent,
pages,
yeah,
let's
the
say.
first 9 pages.
And you're talking about sending that to the
Just the county.
county. And the issue that came up finally is that then they would move to adopt it, which would make it problematic because it's part of a full chapter. Were you asking for that to be done because you expected the county to adopt it, or because you just want to get that language out there? So
Yeah,
they knew
so
it
that
was
if there
coming?
are, yes, so if there are additional, because they have the final say, right? So last time we gave it to
So
them, they had lots of
it's just like a
feedback.
prelude to see if they're going to kick it back.
And
to
that's
us,
what we
in a
did
sense?
last time.
And can we not just send the language to the county? Is that what you're asking?
I was having those same thoughts, send a draft of this
I mean, that's-
portion.
I don't know. We
That
sent,
to me is more efficient, because then this is out of the way once it's time to look at the rest of the chapter.
And we're 30 days ahead. Let's say they don't adopt this, then we can look at it.
Right back at it again.
Yeah.
Right
Yeah.
Yeah,
back
so
at it.
we're 30 days ahead instead of being
I
30
think
days.
for me, I think the hangup is the adopt, because the adopt
Well, they don't have to
refers-
adopt,
Right,
just-
the adopt refers to the entire chapter. And
Yeah.
what we're really asking for is approval.
Yeah.
To
incorporate
move
this-
past this,
to
to move past
If
this
they,
section.
if they agree with the language that we had proposed them.
Yeah, I guess they could change their mind later.
Yeah, but we
But-
hope not.
But we hope.
So I mean, I just,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I realize it's very semantic, but I think this hangs up on some
Yeah,
semantics.
yeah, yeah.
Between
I
looking
understand.
for approval, so we're not stuck with this one more month. We want to get it there as opposed to having them adopt it. Is that a problem?
I mean,
I know you don't like it because it's not clean. I know you
Well,
don't
no,
like
it's not clean. I've heard, maybe you guys aren't hearing from the community, but I've heard loud and clear from the city, where's our amendment?
Well, we understand
You
that.
can't get it to them
But we
before the
can't
next
get that
meeting
to 'em right
anyway.
now.
Right.
So
I
you think
understand.
it's going to be mad because we put the county in front
No,
of
but
them?
we did it once already and spent 4 months and got it back, and now we're a year later, and we're, the city's interested in affordable housing, you guys. That's why we're doing the study in the comp plan. That's why they agreed to pitch in on it. That's why we're doing it in the comp plan. They see these as critical amendments for
Just
housing.
asking for approval of this
Yeah.
language from the
Well,
county.
but the court, I'd have to get with the judge and say, if we send it to them as draft language to see if you all like it, I think we're gonna have to send them a formal recommendation as an amendment. And that's probably the right way to do it, is if you guys just wanna pull out these just the ag zone, which would be pages, I mean, if that's what you want to do, if you want to adopt in chapter 7, I would suggest, because the CUP is part of it too, on this
7
page.
through,
You would adopt 7-3 through 710.
Yeah.
And just pass that, and we'll shoot it to the court and see what sticks. I mean, if that's what you all want to do, that's fine.
So let me ask this question a different way. If we send this forward to the fiscal court and they decide that they don't like some language of that, are they obligated by law to send it back to us, or are they able to modify it and pass it?
They could do either, probably.
So getting this to them in that way doesn't save us any time, doesn't hurt anything. All we're asking for probably here is a courtesy to make this language, we like this language, make it available. We're just trying to look for a compromise.
No, I understand.
If we get approval, then we just put it in the entire package for the following month. And then we've taken care of a 30-day lag time there for just
I'm
this
with these
part.
guys, I feel like we keep doing this and it keeps getting kicked back.
Yeah, I understand.
So Steve, if we do this next month, this will be ready to go?
Well, I mean, that's the way I guess you do it. If you guys pulled out these pages and said, we're approving that tonight, send it to the court, and then next month we come in here and let's start on the other 19 zones. And if we get through them, we'll shoot those to the city separate. I guess we could do that. And it's very likely that the city will probably adopt the changes because they sent us those changes to make. And we don't know what's going to happen on the county side.
I'm talking about Article 7, Chapter 7. We'll send that in next week?
Well, just the part of.
Just the ag section.
I thought we did all of it today.
We did do all of it today, but you got, but the changes that need to be written.
We didn't.
The rest of the commission did. 5 of y'all spent 2 hours a day to get through the entire chapter. You did.
I thought we'd bring it before them next week. They could look at it and then we push it on.
What they were hoping is that we could get that chapter presented and you all could look at the entire thing and then.
Right, tonight you mean?
No, we knew it was probably not be because it's not even in print yet, some of it,
And then we'd ship the whole thing, which includes the conveyance, to the fiscal court.
in October.
But if we've not approved all of Chapter 7, then we can't push it on through to fiscal court.
It'd be next month.
Well, next month.
That's right.
Yeah, and that's why we're just asking for approval just on
It's whatever you
the
want to do.
ag part of it, and then we can attach that to what we approve next month in all of Article 7.
I'm not sure.
We're
it's a
not
good
gonna get
idea.
something back from the
Tell you
fiscal
the
court
truth.
in 1 month, y'all.
And, I
There's
mean,
no way.
30 more days, I don't know.
It took 4 months, and they were very procedural about then engaging the public. I would guess we'll get
That's the
something
best
back.
counter argument you've made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm guessing when we send it to the
Best
court,
argument you made right
it'll be
there.
3 months to 6 months before we get something back.
Oh, I thought it would be like a month or.
No, it won't be back in a month.
Oh, okay.
They have to run it through an ordinance committee, and then they made sure to engage the public through Facebook, and they invited citizens in.
Yeah.
They didn't make a decision just, hey, here's the text amendment, let's vote on it. They spent 4 months engaging the public, and then came up with the directive.
Should've led with that.
Oh, sorry.
So do we need a motion to table this until next month?
Yes, sir.
And get you guys the whole thing. I'll get everything in print. Even the changes you made tonight aren't technically in print, so.
We have a motion to table items related to chapters 1 and 7 until next month. Do we have a second? Well, that was in the item.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of tabling item E4 until next month? Say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
I want to make sure Steve's looking at his watch just because he wants to know what
I don't
time
have
it is,
one.
and not because he's moved his retirement up.
Already you're sending a text when you're,
The,
we got some new business items there.
that is, I'm sorry.
So that's the one that, we got 2 new business
We got two-
items.
yeah, we got
gotta
2 more
jump
things to
into
do,
On the
yeah.
back of the revised agenda.
Okay, are we prepared? And I was going to talk about the construction surety. Is
That's next, yeah.
Okay,
That's a
okay.
late ad, we need to do that, yes.
Okay. The next item we're talking about is a construction surety for Anderson
Yep.
Troy Pike LLC. I'll turn this over
Yeah.
to Steve.
This is a different item. You should have a contract sitting at your chair, a development contract. This is a late file. I think you guys know where the Anderson property is, the 57 acres. You guys approved a development plan amendment in 23. You looked at a plat and 2 individual development plans in 24. They're ready to start construction. Part of our process is the developers have to sign a contract. They have to do a bond estimate. They have to pay us a fee, and they have to post a surety. So what we're doing going forward is we're always going to make sure we get planning commission action on that. The developer had, the total bond amount is gonna be $2,471,839.
25 cents.
98 cents. We get a 1% fee of that. We'll get a check for $24,718 to the planning commission. The developer has the option to do a 20% bond or 100% bond. It just affects the timing of the plat. They're choosing the 20% bond. So what the item I'm asking for the planning commission to approve is to accept the initial corporate surety bond. It's going to be an insurance bond, not a letter of credit, in the amount of $494,386. That's the 20% bond option for grading, utility, and street-related items, including the 10% project contingency from Anderson Troy Pike Construction, bond estimate, and authorize the planning commission chair to sign the developer agreement. That formalizes these actions so we can move forward and get the developer started on their project.
Two things. Was this an item where council appeared, or was
Mr.
Counsel?
Murphy?
Yeah.
No, I think he was here about the subreg amendment, and he called, we talked on the phone, he was already on his way, and I think we
Just
talked
making sure.
through some of the changes in chapter 6, I'm sorry.
Okay, and then
He's not here on that issue.
Got it.
The developer's intention is to run the construction plans through tech review in 2 weeks, have a pre-con the same week, start on the road, and start building the apartments right away.
could I have a day to look at the bond when it comes across your
Yeah,
desk?
the perform, so again, this is a corporate surety bond, which
Right.
we call performance bonds or insurance bonds, where a corporation is bonding this on behalf of the developer. There's letters of credit and there's cash bonds. But again, the bond amount would be $494,000 would be the bond. But if the planning commission is okay with that, we'll get the developer's already signed the contract. We'll get our chair to sign and notarize the contract. The bond will show up, we'll send it to the attorney, and once they get through TRC in 2 weeks, they're ready to start moving dirt. So,
Move that we accept the surety bond as presented to us in the manner and the process that you have just outlined.
yeah.
Second motion.
We have a motion, second, any discussion? All in favor of approving this bond and authorizing the chair to sign the development construction contract, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Then the next item of new business is the housing study contract, right?
And I'll defer to our attorney. So we got a hold of Dr. Davis. We did select a consultant to do our housing study, which is Blueprint Kentucky. We were back and forth about a contract. Henry just got the contract today, so I'll let him tell you. What we're suggesting is maybe approving it contingent on Henry finalizing some things here, but we just got the contract this afternoon. And we want to get going on that. So Henry, I don't know what we want to do to kind of maybe get this approved in a conditional fashion.
The contingent approval is a thing. We had talked to the commission about being able to move up the time frame from June to January. It looks like there would be added costs with that, and maybe we're not interested in those added costs. June completion's fine.
Yeah, they said June was the target. If we wanted to move it up, they would have to add another staff member and it'd ramp it up $4,000 or something like that. We said we prefer to maybe stick with the original cost at this time, since the city's going to participate maybe on the funding side of this, and we'll just live with the delivery date. And then we just got the contract today.
Right, that's for the commission's information. My request of any of you is for feedback on subsection A in the deliverables. This contract is free of some of the pitfalls that usually come with these contracts, but I just want to make sure that we're clear about what it is that they're providing us and any specifics that need to be added. I'd welcome input on that now or later.
That's what we just want to
And
make sure is
then
on
the motion
agenda.
would be approval contingent upon review
And your
Right.
review of it.
exactly.
And signature by the chair, I guess.
Right.
I move we accept this contract contingent upon our council's review and the chair of the planning commission's agreement and signature.
We have a motion, we have a second, any discussion? All in favor of approving this contract subject to council review and chair signature, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
Just noting my abstention due to the affiliation.
Thank you. And that takes care of that. We had the budget progress. We had the inspections and the packet. Anything else, Steve, that needs to be addressed on those other items? Any questions with the staff reports that were in there regarding the inspections, the budget? Any questions on those items?
Been a long day.
Yeah.
So, anybody prepared to make or entertain a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Amen.
I beat them.
Yeah, there you
All
go.
in favor?
All right.
Aye. I think that motion carries.